Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. We're here in South Cerney Golf Course, or Golf Club, I don't really know what you call it. Just had a little lesson. I'm going to shout out Greg on here. Helped me for about half an hour. I'm useless when it comes to golf, but got me into decent shape, would you say, within half hour?
It shows what half an hour can do, Parsons. You know, you were air shots, a few of them, you know, a bit embarrassing, hitting the floor, missing them completely. Within half an hour, you're hitting some decent golf shots. There's some potential there, mate.
I know, it's a nice little thing to do. We were just saying some of the locations that you go to be able to play golf there would be very nice. Hopefully, I can get myself to a point. Mark, always good to be joined with you, mate. How's things?
Yeah, busy. Looking forward to the new season ahead. You know, I've had lots been going on over summer, a lot of planning, but really good. You know, in September kicking off with 3 shows, so yeah, good. Itching to get back going again.
Let's talk about that. I saw the schedule was released on social media. You got a lot of dates. I think planning for 2024 ahead as well. But in the imminent future, I think September 30, you're back down in Swindon again. We were just speaking off camera. Good time to do it. The kids are back in school. I think it's the first payday since the summer holidays. Everything makes sense. Looking forward to the back end of 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got 7th September. We've got a charity show at the Royal Lancaster Hotel in London. You know, $5,000 a tables, always a sellout. Working with Francis Warren. So looking forward to that. Good sort of cracking lineup there. We've got London show at Cheshire and Hertfordshire. Mid-September, Casey Kadimi, top of the bill with a cracking lineup there. Back into Swindon with our Sterling sort of Southwest boxers. We're then in Wales in the October to do our first series of Welsh shows in association with Mo Pryor. Back out Swindon and York Hall in November. So it's a busy schedule, busy end to the year as well. So some really big fights coming ahead.
I suppose for the lads that you've got signed on as well, good to see a sort of statement of intent from you, having a lot of dates penciled in, and sort of sure you'll be having words with a lot of them saying, look, this is going to be the one that you're getting out on. A lot of them, I'm sure, will already know what ones they're fighting on. But sort of a good trustworthy space for them. They know the sort of plan moving forward. They know that they're secure for the next 6 months at least.
Yeah, it always helps when we're signing boxers. We can tell them what dates, what the plan is. We sit at the beginning of the year and say, this is what this year's going to look like. You're going to fight 3 or 4 times. And some of these guys who are on 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, we can then plot out. You're going to be doing a 6-rounder, in an 8-rounder, in a 50-50, then an eliminator or a title shot. And we can plan the next 12, 18 months for them. So we only started managing a few years ago, and those guys are now 5, 6, 7-0, and they're now on the cusp of titles. So over the next 12, 18 months, our stable of boxers are going to start sort of fighting some big titles on our shows. So with the addition of the Welsh dates as well, that's going to put us to 12 shows again next year, with just our Swindon, London, Wales, and we'll probably tag on another couple somewhere else as well. So as opportunity arises, but you know, plenty of opportunity for the boxers. Exciting times ahead.
I saw that Lewis Roberts was stepping up to 10 rounds in his next fight in Swindon. What sort of fights do you look at over 10 rounds? Do you look at sort of a domestic title eliminator? I think he's got himself in the top 10 in the division on BoxRec. When you're planning for these guys and having titles, what is the imminent future? Those international belts, what's the sort of plan for them?
Well, it depends on the boxer. Someone like Lewis Roberts, I think we had him up to 7 on the BoxRec rankings. So he's, you know, and if you look the top sort of 2 or 3 or 4 of those are in that division and probably world level, which puts him in the top sort of top handful in the country, if you like. So the 10 rounder we got, Ben Lilly, is could be Southern area level. We're trying to get it approved at the moment. Just waiting for a response on that. But if not, well, that fight will still go ahead. So he'll be training for it like it's a Southern area, because he needs to start getting equipped now for some of these title fights against real live opponents who are, you know, going to stretch him over 10 rounds. So there's no benefit now at his level fighting 6 rounders against, you know, the old Lithuanian window cleaner. They need to be in real live fights. So this is a, you know, he's going to be the favourite going into that fight. Ben Lilly thinks he's going to come and, you know, cause an upset, but it's on paper it's a good 50-50 fight. The guy's got a winning record over 10 rounds, and it's in our mind is getting Lewis ready for perhaps a big title fight in November. But of course, in that division, it's quite narrow, isn't it? There's only like 40 odd in the bantams, whereas you go to welterweight, there's 150. So you can be moving forward for bigger title fights quite quickly So let's get through this on a 10-rounder. It'd be good for his, his whole camp to get ready for a 10-rounder, get the weight right. And then November, if he comes through unscathed, there's hopefully some big titles ready.
It's the brutal reality for a lot of these guys as well, is that sort of they need to step up, and if they don't really realise their level, then, I mean, who knows their place or what they'll have to do. But I think for a lot of them, it's sort of that's going to be the moment that sort of whether they're made for it.
Yeah, it's been spoken about quite a lot, hasn't it? There's no point getting these padded 10-fight records when he's still fighting journeyman at 10, 11, 12. So we've got a lot of shows, we've got a lot of boxers and a lot of other managers who want to put their boxers on. We always ask, what kind of fight do you want? Because if he's like an 8, 9-0, 10-0 and they just want a little move around for 6 rounds, there's no point. No point for the show. It doesn't add value to the show. There's no point for that box, and I don't know what they're wasting their time for. If you want to be a boxer, you don't want to just get a record. You want to win things, right? So, but that's up to them. So we only want to work with the kind of guys that are going to have that sort of same mentality. But of course, at different stages. If they're 3-0, 4-0, stepping up to first 6 rounders, first 8 rounders, first 55th, of course, it's going to look like they're going to be in the, it's going to be a dead cert that they're going to win. But it's actually a good experience for them. But they start building up that, 8, 9, 10. They've got to start going into some meaningful live fights, which is, there's too many of them out there who don't want to do that. They can go on other shows because we don't really want to work with them.
How excited are you for this Welsh venture? Welsh boxing is one that's got brilliant talent. I think we had a show there in February, and it had a great Welsh title fight between two guys. I mean, putting it all on the line. Probably one of the belts that actually gets sort of overlooked a little bit. Yeah. But when you realise some of the talent, and in all honesty, like you'll agree with me, some of them are just going to be at the point where they need to be matched with each other. Cream will rise to the top. But it's an exciting venture. There's some talent to be explored.
Yeah, there is some real good talent over there, and I think lots of promoters have dipped their toes in over there. But it's Southwest, it's our patch, so we thought it was a logical step for us to spread over there, and we want to take over Wales actually and be the dominant promoter over there. We've already got 3 dates scheduled for next year and probably more. But we signed a new boxers as well. I've signed a new female boxer, Victoria Perkins. She's Welsh, and I think she, training with Tony Borg at the moment. And I think she's going to be certainly one to watch. So there's some really good Welsh talent over there. And I think, you've got the Celtic titles, but I think will take over and dominate Wales, and they'll spread on to sort of more national titles. But it's a new patch for us. But, it's a natural progression, I think, for us because we're over in the southwest anyway. But it's really interesting to see the talent coming through Wales. Wales sort of boxing's historically always generated some good boxers, but there's a bit of resurgence in recent years, and it's starting to show now.
I think what's interesting about your story is, I don't know if we've ever actually gone over this on an interview, but just sort of like we were speaking off camera there, your dad was a heavyweight boxer. I think fought some great, I think he was on a couple of Frank Warren's cards, and am I right there? And sort of you got into the sport through that. Firstly, before that takes me on to the point of sort of what you're doing now and your rise from white collar to the pro ranks, but what was that like growing up, having a dad as a heavyweight and not always winning fights as well? I mean, you look at sort of the Frank Brunos and the stuff like that, great to say he's been in with them, but I imagine growing up that must be quite challenging to see perhaps.
Well, yeah, it is, but I mean, all boxers lose at some stage, don't they? Yeah. Not many undefeated boxers. So it was great, just, proud of him, obviously. He was like a famous sort of, big celebrity in the local press. I was at the AJ Lanius fight, and I saw Colin Hart, the old veteran Sun reporter as he was, said hello, said to send my dad his regards. He used to do lots of write-ups on my dad back in the day. It was great, and I'm old enough, but was young enough then. I went to the Bugner fight, I went to the Bruno fight. The Bugner fight, as you touched on, was one of Frank Warren's early promotions, and Rob Warren, who we work with now, was in the corner with Ernie Fossey at the time. Wow. I remember that. And, I think my dad did a bit of unlicensed for Frank Warren, pre-pro as well, so they got a bit of history. But great growing up with it, great for being a teenage boy at school with your dad splashed all over the front page of the paper. Doesn't do any harm with the girls, I'll tell you that for sure. So, yeah, he might have lost, and I remember being at ringside and you gutted your dad's lost, but there's some side benefits to that. But we've just grown up with it. My granddad was the treasurer of the local amateur club that I went to, and I was training from 6 or 7, and my first fight at 11. It's a boxing family. Both my brothers boxed, and it's all we've known really. So, it's just in the blood.
I take it that was when when did you first start doing white collar shows? I mean, I remember, I see posts now, they pop up on Facebook or whatever from 10, 11, 12 years ago, but was that always what made you think that you wanted to go into boxing, and how did it actually come to fruition? Was it a matter of time, or did it was just something that was a no-brainer for you?
Well, my dad started it. 2003, did a charity show.
Wow.
He did a charity show, filled 1,000 people in a sports hall. And then 2008, I think, did a charity show. My mum passed away, and he fought a friend of his. My dad actually fought someone in a charity show. He was supposed to sort of make it last 3 rounds, but the guy went for him and he stopped him in a minute. But that's my dad. And so we then started doing white collar shows after that. We did a couple more charity. Then we did the white collar. They started to get quite busy. Then we took over, me and my other brother Tony, and we built up the white collar shows to, filling venues with 2,000 people, proper title fights and paramedics, and the most professional sort of white collar there was. And we got to a stage, I think it was about 2013-14, I did this huge show. It was a heavyweight prize fighter, and it was a sellout at the Oasis in Swindon. And I remember sat there thinking, this is brilliant. That's it now. Can't do it. I'm done, I think. I want to move on. And I made that decision then. I want to go pro. And that's it. We sort of finished that show, saw the rest of the year out, finished the dates we already had, and then that's it. I thought, I'm done. And then it took me a little while to get my pro licence, get myself sorted, got my promoter's licence, got my manager's licence, and, here we are. Bless you.
When sort of you took to the pro game, it's been a bit of a journey. Look back, I think you had a show in Gloucester in, 5 years ago or so, Akeem and his Brown headlining and stuff like that. But for the boy growing up and watching his dad against sort of your Frank Brunos and stuff like that, to be able to sit here now and be able to put on these events and sort of feel like you're able to take part, you see you like mingling with everyone at AJ, same with Kyle. That must be a real good feeling, right?
Oh, I love it. And it's the sport we love. I've spoken to you about it. There's some bad side and downsides to it, but I couldn't be away from it. It's great. It's a sport that you love, and you're on the inside of it. It's just absolutely brilliant. I grew up with it. I was a boxing fan. I remember the, Duran, Leonard, Hearns, Hagler. Loved that sort of era. That was when I was growing up as a teenager. And I've been a boxing fan ever since. So now to be, over time, be more and more involved in it, behind the scenes, to be able to go, so a different generation to my dad now being involved. But then I'm taking my son now to the AJ fight. Took him to Saudi Arabia last year, and it's another generation being involved in it again. And people do ask if he wants to be involved in boxing. He's sort of like, only the promotion side, because it doesn't hurt as much. Yeah. Clever boy. Yeah.
Sensible on that one. Look, let's talk world of boxing as a whole. This weekend we have Oleksandr Usyk, the sort of reigning king at the heavyweight division. We know that Tyson Fury's got whatever he's got going on next month in Saudi Arabia against Francis Ngannou. But can Daniel do it? It's a big ask. It's a really big ask. I saw an interview with Anthony Joshua earlier on today, and he said, look, let's hope he can do it. But sort of no fooling anyone. It's a huge leap. I think the last fight Daniel had, he was took to some real deep waters against Kevin Lorena. Fair play to him, came back with a really bad injury. He's been out for some time, recovered from the injuries, had a tough camp in Granada, Spain, but keep going back to it, it's a lot to ask. Usyk is special, right?
Yeah, he's certainly the best heavyweight at the moment. He's just won everything as an amateur, Olympic, Worlds, Cruiserweight, Unified. He's just special. Dubois, I think credit to Frank Warren for getting him to be him. How do you get...
It's incredible.
You look at Dubois' record and you think, I like Daniel Dubois, I'm behind the Brits all the way, but how has he got to be mandatory for Oleksandr Usyk? Fair play, Frank Warren. You've done what you've got to do, looking after your boy. But I don't really give him any chance. We could all be proved wrong, but he's got a puncher's chance, and that's it. But then Usyk's faced a lot of big punches.
I was going to say that. I look at sort of moments in that AJ Usyk 2 fight, Usyk AJ 2 in Saudi Arabia, and I've got this one clip, and I think it's where AJ's having sort of his most success down the stretch of the fight, and he lands 3 flush on the chin within about 50 seconds on Oleksandr Usyk, and if he's not going away from them, and as of right now, we would probably put AJ a level ahead of Dubois, especially Oleksandr Usyk. Makes you think, does he even have that puncher's chance? But that's heavyweight boxing. That's what excites us, right?
Oh, it does. And you can't hold it against anyone for giving him a chance. He had Joe Joyce had his number. He's not really world level. I think he's probably top 15. I don't think he's top 5. He's certainly not. Shouldn't be a mandatory for Usyk, and I think that's just I said credit to Frank for getting him into that position. But you can't really give him a puncher's chance, and even that's a long shot because of Usyk's got a good chin, and this would be, if he does win, this is one of the biggest upsets since. I remember Hunnigan Curry, and that was, he had no chance. And then he's turned him over, and I think this would probably top that. I mean, if he does it, I'll be watching. I think everybody. I don't know what the odds are saying. There can't be much, money on Usyk winning. It's all, the odds have all got to be for Usyk, haven't they?
By the way, with that being said, we hope Daniel can do it. We always back the Brit. What an opportunity it would be, and to have all those belts back in Britain would be fantastic. And I'm sure that undisputed fight with Tyson Fury. Talk about Tyson Fury. He's got this new documentary out. He's fighting Francis Ngannou. I think now there's talk again about having all the two fights on the same night. We know that they were just going to go ahead with AJ Wilder, but now they do want to have Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk, providing that he is the victor this weekend. What do we make of it all? It's quite hard to bank on Tyson to we can never really know what he's going to do.
Well, he's got a lot of appeal now. He's got his detractors out there, but he's number one on Netflix, selling. He's publishing number one books. He's WBC champion, and people can be critical, but he's doing all right for himself. It doesn't help with the heavyweight scene because you don't really know what's going on. It's difficult. It's a bit of a mess, and I think if AJ was fighting someone like Ngannou, he'd be criticised an awful lot, a lot more than I think Tyson would. But it's a shame if you're like a WBC mandatory, or you're trying to get yourself in that position, and he decides not to fight, but then fight Ngannou in an actual boxing contest. You'd have to be frustrated about that. But I think it's just a sort of formality, that, isn't it? It's just a money-making thing, and fair play to him. I did see that Wilder saying he's going to fight AJ twice, and there's a two-fight deal. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's all a bit of a mess, isn't it? But hopefully the next month we'll sort it out. We want heavyweight boxing to get back onto it. I just want to see AJ Wilder.
Do you give AJ a chance against Wilder?
I give him a puncher's chance, I do. I've got to be careful I don't fall for the Eddie Hearn spin, because damn, he's a good seller. And I'm in boxing, I know the inside story as well, but he still suckers me sometimes, and I still pay for something, and I think he's done me again there. But he does. But he made a good point. He said, who's Wilder fought recently? Who's he beat of note? He beat, if you look at his record. But Lewis Ortiz was older than me when he fought him, probably, and then he was...
No one knows actually quite how old Lewis Ortiz is.
But he's old, right? And he was losing, and he was, but he has got the most concussive. He's a bit like an Ernie Shavers. Absolutely everyone. If he clips AJ's gone, because we all know AJ's vulnerable, as they all get caught, Dillian White's the same. They get caught. If he gets caught, he's gone. However, there's a new cautious AJ, isn't there? You'd give him a bit more, he's a bit more on the back foot. He's harder to hit. And he's trying to be different. I don't know. It's not a foregone conclusion. Everyone's going to think that Wilder's going to knock him out in 4, 5, 6 rounds. I think the good money might be on an AJ stoppage in 4, 5, 6 rounds. But this is one of those things when Call me crazy, but I think AJ could do it. And I know people are going to just give me some shit, 'cause they're going to say, "You see how hard Wilder hits?" I do. But it's a bit like the Dubois this weekend, isn't it? AJ's definitely got the puncher's chance, and we know that Wilder can be hurt.
Lastly, next weekend, Smith-Eubank 2, the rematch. A lot of people see this one as a foregone conclusion already. Eubank teaming up with Bomac out in Vegas, who was with Terence Crawford and everyone. Only on 4 weeks' notice, though, to assign a trainer on 4 weeks for what is probably the biggest fight of his career. Look, the Ben fight's probably always there, even if he loses again and takes a pasting within a couple of rounds. But away from that, is Eubank fighting for his career this Saturday? Next Saturday? Yeah. He's, first time he's ever shown that he can be really hurt. Emphatically, Liam coming up a division. What do you think?
Well, Eubank was doing quite well, I thought, actually, till he got hit. So who knows? If he can keep away, then that doesn't happen again, because Liam Smith's not a concussive puncher. But it's an interesting fight. But if he loses again, it's got to be done, hasn't he? But the Ben situation, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to speak to who knows what's going on with that. I feel like we should be asking Simon Jordan what the situation is, because he's got the inroads to the boxing board, doesn't he? You know, none of us know, but maybe Simon Jordan's. Should fucking ask Simon Jordan. But I don't know. It's all a bit of a mess. Eubank's fighting for his career, I think. If he was to lose, they'd probably be a big money fight against still with him and Ben. People would still pay for it, even though the boxing purists I think there's nothing in it. But it's probably, I think, more the same. I think Smith's gonna just dominate again. But Eubank was doing all right. So, they wouldn't be out of this world, out of these realms to think that Eubank could do quite well later on. If he, because he's never really been caught like that. He's always been known as a granite chin, hasn't he? So I think probably I'm going to go to Smith for that. But then Eubank is fighting for his career. I say that though, but then a Ben fight, people would still pay for it, because we're fickle as boxing fans.
That is boxing, isn't it? Mark, finally from me, just a final message, 20 minutes banked. I suppose, just looking forward to a sort of big end and strong end of the year.
Oh yeah, huge. Massive 3 shows in September. Cardiff, new country, new venues, another couple of shows before the end of the year, new signings, lots of new boxers. End of the year looking massive. 2024 is going to be even bigger. Just these a couple of the shows we've done this year have been the best we've ever done. They're just getting better and better. Neilson Boxing, come watch us.
Mark Neilson, top man, thank you for speaking to us at Boxing Social.